And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike. The man over here to my left, this way, is Marcus. What's up, man? How's it going today?
Hey, pretty good. What's going on, Michael?
It would be better if my Royals would have beat your Astros more than once. They had a little series a couple days ago. We lost to the Astros 6-4. Then we come back and whoop that ass 12-2, and you guys
Right.
come back and whoop our ass 9-0. We Royals go into a game tonight with the Phillies. I wish I was at home able to watch this game, but I'm not. I'm stuck here in beautiful Indiana. Quotes right
Yeah.
there. Beautiful Indiana. But
Oh,
how's
please
your
beat the
team doing?
Phillies.
What's that?
Please beat the Phillies.
Yeah, definitely. Any chance that the team at the bottom can beat the team at the top, I'm all for it, man. Like Royals are struggling down there at the bottom, and quite frankly, it's a tad sad. But so you
Yeah.
got a fun fact for me
Yeah, no,
over
no.
there?
Y'all had a couple of y'all that one game. I think y'all had two. It was amazing. That's baseball today for you. I think you had two grand slams that game, which is amazing. I think
In
one
the
was in
same
the
inning.
second and third. The other one was in the seventh. I was like the Royals had one grand slam, then they came back with another grand slam. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was. The Royals have been so up and down, like because we scored what was it, 15 runs versus Detroit Tigers, beat them 15-2, and then come back and lose a game 1-0 like the next night. It's just crazy like how baseball changes from day to day to day.
Yeah.
It's actually really impressive actually when like once you break it down. Um,
You know, it's amazing. I was watching the Rangers Astros game last night, and the
mhm.
Astros beat the Texas Rangers 4-2. And they gave an interesting stat out. If this does not tell you about today's baseball, which is absolutely it's amazing, nothing will. Joey Gallo, the right or the outfielder for the Texas Rangers,
Mhm.
has 100 home runs right to his career, and he only has 93 singles for his career.
Wow,
So he's got seven more home runs than
that's
he does
crazy.
singles.
That's
So
crazy.
that he is the first major league player in the history of Major League Baseball to get to the 100 home run plateau, but only have 93 singles. So
Wow,
he has more home runs than singles, which is no player in the history of pro baseball has ever done that. So that's just an amazing stat to me.
that
I
is the
mean,
definition of go big or go
yes.
home right there.
I mean, what Mark Aguirre and all these great players, they've got to 100 home runs. They've had more than 100 singles already. Ken Griffey, I
Right.
mean, you can just name them. I mean, they'll have a bunch of singles before they way more singles than they'll have home runs by the time they get to 100 home runs. It's just amazing. He did it like in 377 games, which is like top five all time as well. So he's Joey Gallo for the Texas Rangers is a feast or famine home run hitter. I mean, he's going to hit the home run or he's pretty much going to strike out. To only have 93 singles in your career and have more home runs in your career than singles when you get to the 100 home run mark is simply incredible. And that's today's baseball for you. The pitchers are throwing harder now.
Yeah.
There's more Tommy John surgeries. They're just using up more pitchers. It's about roaring back and getting to 98, 99, 100 miles per hour. That's where baseball's changed
Yeah,
a
it
little
is.
bit.
It
And
is crazy
no,
that you
no,
just
no
brought out
further
Tommy
evidence
John
than
surgery.
Joey Gallo.
Yeah, it is crazy that you just brought up Tommy John's surgery here because I coach football at the high school team here, and we have a couple players on our football team that play baseball as well. And they had three players this year go with Tommy John surgery, and they're
Wow,
sophomores. So you're
that's
14,
incredible.
15 and 14, 15 year old in high school, you're getting Tommy John surgery. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy to me. But since we're on the injury thing here, Kevin Durant has been diagnosed with that strained calf, like we were talking about
yeah,
yesterday. You said a grade one was 7 to 10 days,
yeah.
and I believe that's exactly where
Oh my
they're at.
gosh.
He has been ruled out for the rest of the series here. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of that news before we get too carried away into the basketball talk
Right.
for today. So Marcus nailed that right on the head. 7 to 10 days. If you were his agent, his dad's uncle, like etc., you would tell him to shut it down. and that's exactly what they're doing. Is they're shutting it down for the time being, at
Yeah.
least for the rest of the series, like at least. So
Yeah,
just putting that out
and he
there.
might even, depending upon how Kevin Durant feels, he might even miss Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. So, but that's about all he'll miss. I think he'll miss Game 1, and then he'll probably be back for Game 2 at Oracle Arena.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be 100% going forward if they
Yeah,
want to win the finals for
yeah.
sure. Speaking of winning finals here, we had a couple game sixes last night. The, the first one that hits the book was Philly and Toronto. Philly beat Toronto 112 to 101. Kawhi Leonard had 29 points, and Jimmy Butler had 25 to lead the way for respectively for their teams. What are your thoughts on this game? And just a little bit of insights
Well, I mean,
as usual.
yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler, I guess that was played like the Chicago Bulls days. I mean, he was like Kawhi Leonard. He stole the ball from him one time.
Yeah,
That was old Jimmy Butler. When Jimmy Butler plays like that, and pretty much matches Kawhi Leonard, there's no way the Sixers lose. I mean, um, what happened last night? Also, we'll talk about it too with Portland Denver series. You had two desperate teams last night in Philadelphia and Portland playing at home, and they didn't want to go out like that. I knew that Portland and Philadelphia were going to win last night. Um, they get too much pride, man. You've been hearing for 40 hours that you're no good. We're going to trade Ben Simmons. We're going to get rid of. How good is Joel Embiid? Is he ever going to be anything? Or we
no,
might even trade
17
him and
points.
get assets. But those are all the questions that you hear.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris, you suck. Jimmy Butler, you're overrated. JJ Redick, you're not good either. You hear all that stuff for about 37, 40 hours, however it was in between games. And so pride takes over, and then pride turns into that. Your talent takes over. And that's what happened last night. And
Yeah.
Philadelphia came out, and they won the game. Let me say this about Philadelphia. With Durant out, let me make myself very clear. With Durant out, Philadelphia actually has the best starting five in the NBA. Now, what does that mean? Well, absolutely nothing if they lose Game 7 in Toronto on Sunday. But they do in terms of players, in terms of like who you would who a coach would want to coach, like a starting five. When you have Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris and JJ Redick and Ben Simmons, you've got a starting five out this world. So I mean, they have the talent to get it done versus anybody. And you saw Ben Simmons last night. I mean, man, he did the things that Magic Johnson would have done. I mean, he didn't. Yes, he doesn't have a jump shot, but man, he was driving to the goal. He was getting people involved. Ben Simmons last night played like it was a track meet, and that's what Ben Simmons has to do to be effective. And it worked last night. Toronto kind of like was a little, don't get it wrong. Toronto tried last night, but you could tell the more desperate team just watching that game last night. You can tell the one team that knew they had Game 7 in their back pocket. And so it's funny. I predicted all Game 7s, and it's going to happen except for the Celtics ruined that prediction for me. So we'll end up because we knew the second round. We had been talking about the second round for a couple of months now,
Right.
And in both conferences, and we were figuring, man, these second rounds, they're all going to go 7, and it looks like we're going to be 75% right. I mean, all three out of these 4 series in the second round, 3 of them are going to go to Game 7, and except for the sorry ass Celtics, they ruined that prediction. But those quitters. But I mean, Milwaukee helped them quit. But yeah, those quitters ruined our prediction. But yeah, it looks like we're gonna have 3 Game 7s on Sunday, which is remarkable.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up.
I wish one of them was Saturday. I mean, you know what I mean? I wish Toronto should be on Saturday because since they played today, or Portland, or one of them. But I think they're all going to be on Sunday, which is wow.
Yeah, just to your moving forward, foreshadowing here. There are three games scheduled for Sunday, all Game 7. Obviously, if the Warriors lose to the Rockets, which we'll get that to later in the show here. Really excited about that game, actually. But I really want to touch on what you said there. Jimmy Butler of old. Jimmy Butler did look great last night. He looked what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe re-energize, maybe find a little bit of passion in his body again.
Yeah.
But with that being said, they exerted so much emotional energy last night to pull out that game. They don't have a chance in game seven. They got to fly cross country, uh, you know, uh, play Toronto in Canada in their home court. I think they're wore out. I think they're done. Simmons did have 21 points last night as well. Just the only thing Philadelphia did not do well last night is JJ Redick was kind of MIA again. He only had 11 points.
Yeah.
You were calling for 20 plus points if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 threes. Uh, he's been kind of a non-factor this playoff series, and I'm not for sure if it's just because he's not getting in a groove, if he's the team's not relying on him as much. But with this being his contract year, he definitely needs to start to step up and show his worth. Like, hey,
Yeah. No,
because
I tell you what, Michael, they're going to need him game 7.
yeah, if they have a chance, he has to step up and play.
He better wake up game 7. Listen, I think Toronto's going to win this series. I think Toronto wins on Sunday, but I give the 76ers a puncher's chance because of the starting 5 I'm talking about. When you put those 5 players on the court, the 76ers, there is nobody that has more talent than them except the Warriors. Except the Warriors, like if they were about to go play a street ball game right now and go to 15 by ones, and you picked a team to Philadelphia, I think would beat every team in the NBA 5-on-5. They're that talented a group. So I give them a puncher's chance, but I don't think for what you said, I think they spending a lot of emotion. They got to go to Toronto. I think Toronto gets the game on Sunday. But Toronto's not this juggernaut, Michael, where like they have this past history of like, oh, well, Toronto will close out game 7.
You're right.
So Toronto worries me a little bit too. Although Toronto, I think, is 2-2 with DeMar DeRozan in game 7. So they have had, a little bit of success, Toronto, in game 7s over the past 6 years. But they're not like a juggernaut where, we just say it's an automatic Toronto win. But they did get Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, and those guys know how to win.
You're right.
They're like the San Antonio Raptors. You know what I mean? That's the San Antonio connection. They've been in big games before to Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard. So I would hang my hat on. Yeah. I would hang my hat on Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard with their experience and them knowing how to play and getting their teammates ready. Because Nick Nurse hasn't been in those positions either. So, I think Nick Nurse has to lean on Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard on their past experiences getting these players ready to play Philadelphia. Because Philadelphia will come out hungry, but it'll end up subsiding. I think Toronto wins. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be fun to watch. Yeah, but I think Toronto wins game 7 though.
I think this will be the most exciting game 7 to watch, hands down. Just adding to your fact of game 7 there, I don't think. You can have the best game 7 history. You could be 10-0 in game 7s in the last 25 years, but it's still game 7. Just like what you said last week or 2 weeks ago. Anything can happen in game 7, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Philly came out and just put a thumping on Toronto. But I don't see that happening. I'm taking Toronto as well in game 7. Me
too. Yeah.
What's the word? I think it's just their faith, their destiny this season. It is. We are destined to see a Toronto Golden State championship, and it's going to be really fun to watch. Like in the end, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. We'll see with the Kevin Durant injury. Houston has a good opportunity there to foil that. I would have totally agreed with you before the Durant injury, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, there was one other game last night. You had your Denver Nuggets taking on Portland Trail Blazers. Portland came up, beat them by 9, 119-108, forcing a game 7. Like as we were talking, 3 possible game 7s on Sunday night. This is the second one. This would be the 7 o'clock one, if I'm not mistaken, be the later start time. Your thoughts on last night games?
Man, that game, in my opinion, was called Rodney Hood. I mean, because Lillard and McCollum showed up just like you thought they would, and Jamal Murray, on the other hand, he had a decent floor game, but he didn't shoot the ball very well. And I need more from Gary Harris, but Jokic was his usual great self. Maybe he could have been better at some spots, but Jokic came to ball. That guy was the best. That guy is the best player in this series, and Damian Lillard I have second best player in this series, and because Damian Lillard has kind of like a couple of games disappeared, Jokic hasn't disappeared yet. But Damian Lillard came to play. C.J. McCollum came to play. But man, when you get Rodney Hood going like that, I'm sure Denver didn't account for that. And what I mean by that is, I mean you have to plan for everything. You know, uh, great leaders plan for everything. Great players plan for everything. So they knew Rodney Hood's capable of going off like that, but not to the extent of like 25 points or
Yeah.
whatever he had. I mean, I was thinking Rodney Hood, maybe you account for him for maybe 13 points, 14 points. That's okay. But when you let Rodney Hood, or not necessarily like they let him, but when you see Rodney Hood go for 25 to be that third scorer, that's hard to do.
Hmm.
I mean, the only way Denver had a shot at that last night is if Gary Harris would have been the third scorer like he normally is and match Rodney Hood with 25. Then this game would have probably went in overtime or something. But yeah, that just like I said with Philadelphia, Portland was at home. They were the more desperate team. Denver came to play a little bit better than Toronto did. But the more desperate team, when the talent is almost even, the more desperate team at home is going to win 90% of the time, and that's 99% of the time, and that's exactly what happened. Portland did what they had to do. They took care of business game 6. I knew that was going to happen, and now we've got a game 7 on Sunday. Portland at Denver, and these are really two evenly matched teams. I give the edge to Denver in that altitude because I think Portland will kind of wilt away in that altitude by the third quarter. It's really hard playing Denver in that altitude, and then when you have to play Denver in a 7-game series and they have home court advantage, that's almost impossible to beat. To be honest, I mean I see Denver. I see the Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto game 7 in Toronto going down to the wire. I see Denver blowing out Portland in game 7. San Antonio came to ball that game 7 last series and almost they could have won the game. DeMar DeRozan missed a couple of shots down the stretch, and Jamal Murray made a floater from about 16, 17 feet off one leg, and then it was a swish. Had Jamal Murray missed that in the Spurs series game 7, Spurs would have had a chance to win that game, but Murray didn't miss, and so I don't even think that Portland's going to come to play like San Antonio did in the fourth quarter. I think Portland will wilt away in that altitude, and I see Denver winning this thing like 110-95. This is the blowout I see in the game 7s out of the 3 that we're going to have.
Yeah, and I'm on the total opposite side of that. I think the Portland win last night built their confidence going into Game 7, into the Mile High City, and then they're going to lay the wood to Denver on Sunday afternoon or Sunday night with Hood with Hood coming off the bench, scoring 25 points in 30 minutes of game time. That's got to boost his confidence as well. Looking at the box score here, the whole Denver Nugget bench had 13 points off the bench. Rodney Hood got that plus 10. So when one player off of your bench is beating the whole other team's bench, that cancels each other out, and you still have 3 or 4 more players that are going to score points off the bench as well. I really like what Rodney Hood did last night, and that really boosted my confidence in the pick in Portland Trailblazers in this Game 7 pick. I want to hit on Jamal Murray. We have he has been silently really solid this playoff series. The Jokic has kind of overshadowed him a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you're scoring 24, 25, 20, 26 points night in and like night out, he had 10 rebounds as well with 5 assists. That is a solid box score that he has there, and he is doing that consistently this series. I've been bragging on this Denver team from very first game versus San Antonio, how they keep growing. I think they finally hit that wall where they can no longer grow anymore this season. They have to learn how to lose before they can learn how to win. And they're going to lose this Game 7, but next year that they're going to be that much better after this loss.
Yeah, no, I mean that's all possible. I mean, Portland has the more experience over Denver. That's no denying that. I mean, Lillard and them, I know even they haven't been in a Game 7, they've been in more playoff games than Denver, obviously throughout their history, Lillard and McCollum. But I just see Denver winning in this altitude, and Rodney Hood. That's I mean, hey, the Spurs. Let me go on another little thing here. The Spurs have a $9 million cap exception. I'm telling you right now, Rodney Hood to the Spurs. Get him signed up, Pop. That $9 million exception. I'd go after Rodney Hood if I was the Spurs brass.
Basically, what Marcus wants to happen, he wants every big name to come to San Antonio for about $1,000 a game. Hey, we'll give you all a little bit of piece of the pie. I mean,
Yeah,
we won't sign you max contracts, but we're going to
yeah,
have a USA Olympic style team here with the Olympic coach. So guys, come on down to
right.
San Antonio.
Yeah.
Antonio, we'll love you all the
Hey,
same.
hey, come on
anybody,
now, Tobias
anybody
Harris.
but Kawhi, right?
Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. Yeah, just sign for the league minimum. We'll do you solid here.
Do you think a team like that would coexist for 3 or 4 years, or would it be just like a
No,
1 year and done?
no, I don't even think they'd coexist for 1 year. I think Pop would pull the rest of his white hair out. Yeah, it would be bad.
Wouldn't that be something like you see Pop with the shaved head on the sideline
Yeah,
or
yeah, because he
something?
can't. You know, it's funny is Pop's gonna. But see, they can coexist. They'll coexist for one summer,
Yeah,
because Pop will get them. You know, and
yeah,
that's what's amazing to watch about the Olympic team is because you're gonna see guys like last Olympic team. You're gonna see guys like James Harden. I remember watching the Olympics and James Harden and Russell Westbrook are on the bench.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's amazing to watch because you're picking our top 12 guys to go, in the Olympics, and you're gonna have superstars that are getting 25 shots a night, not even getting like last minutes of games. It's amazing to watch. So
Yeah.
they can coexist for about a couple of months and win a gold medal, but they couldn't coexist in the whole NBA season. You're right.
It would just be fun to watch, like if everybody would like hate that team, or or they're like, oh, like my favorite player plays for that team, so I'm gonna go and root for them. Like I'll just be curious of like how that actually would pan out, because we all, let's face it, 85% of Americans hate Golden State. Either you love them or you hate them. There's no, oh, I can stand them. Like, no, you
Yeah.
either you love them or you hate them. And Apple keys, it's all good in the end though. Break.